2 former Ministry of Health employees charged with money laundering. The Special Organized Crime Unit, SOCU, has today charged 2 former employees of the Ministry of Health's Material Management Unit, MMU, Bond with multiple counts of money laundering. The charges stem from an investigation into the theft of pharmaceutical and COVID-19 testing kits from the facility at First Avenue, Diamond Housing Scheme, East Bank, Demerara. The individuals charged are Terrence Williams, a 26-year-old miner from Lot 123 Farm, East Bank, Demerara, and Karen Webster, a 29-year-old resident of Lot 344 Middle Street, North Cummingsburg, Georgetown. Webster appeared before Acting Chief Magistrate Faith McGusty in Georgetown Magistrates Court No. 5, where he was formally charged under the Anti-Money Laundering and Countering the Financing of Terrorism Act. The charge alleges that Webster knowingly converted, transferred, or used stolen property, knowing or having reasonable grounds to believe it was the proceeds of crime. He was granted bail in the sum of $100,000, with the matter set to return to court on December 6, 2024. Williams, who faces 2 counts of money laundering, did not attend court, and his matters were postponed to November 22 and December 9, 2024, for the charges to be read. Williams is currently serving a 3-year sentence at the Lusignan prison for possession of a firearm and ammunition, an offense directly linked to the money laundering charges. The charges stem from an investigation launched after information surfaced that Williams and Webster, while employed at the MMU Bond, had stolen a quantity of pharmaceutical and COVID-19 testing kits. Following a report to the Golden Grove Police Station, authorities located the suspects and conducted a search at their residence. The search uncovered a .38 pistol, ammunition, $4.58 million Guyanese dollars, and $5,760 in cash. Further investigation led by SOCU revealed a substantial quantity of drugs and testing kits, valued at over $343 million Guyanese dollars, was unaccounted for at the MMU Bond. It was determined that the duo, who had unrestricted access to the bond's inventory, misused their positions to steal and sell the items, using the illicit proceeds to enrich themselves. SOCU is now pursuing the forfeiture of the properties of Williams and Webster. 31-year-old miner dies in mining pit cave-in Middle Mazaruni. The Guyana police force is investigating the death of Owen Smith, a 31-year-old gold miner from Kaburi Village, Middle Mazaruni River, following a tragic mining pit cave-in. The incident occurred on Thursday, November 14, 2024, around 2:30 p.m., at the 10 Miles Back Dam in Isano, Middle Mazaruni River. Smith was employed as a jetman by his younger brother, Dorwin Smith, as part of a land dredging operation. According to reports, Owen was working alongside Dorwin, their father Oliver Smith, and younger brother Jason Smith in a mining pit approximately 40 feet long, 50 feet wide, and 30 feet deep. While operating a jet, a massive landslide engulfed Owen, trapping him under the debris. The others managed to escape unscathed and attempted to rescue him. It took about 15 minutes to extricate Owen from the debris, but by then, he was unresponsive. He was transported to the 72 Miles Health Center, where medical personnel pronounced him dead on arrival. The police investigation into the incident is ongoing. Mining pit collapses remain a persistent hazard in Guyana's interior regions, highlighting the need for stricter safety regulations and enforcement. Fatal accident claims life of motorist on No. 61 Village Public Road, Corentyne. Police are investigating a fatal accident that occurred on Thursday, November 14, 2024, at approximately 10:10 p.m. on the No. 61 Public Road in Corentyne, Burbus. The incident involved motorcar #HC2918, driven by 41-year-old Mark Otter of Lot 13 Section A, No. 71 Village, Corentyne, Burbus. According to preliminary investigations, the vehicle was traveling south along the eastern drive lane at a high rate of speed when the driver reportedly lost control, causing the car to collide with a Guyana Power and Light (GPL) utility pole at the roadside. Following the collision, Mr. Otter was trapped inside the vehicle. With the assistance of public-spirited citizens, he was extricated in an unconscious state and transported to the Skeldon Public Hospital. Tragically, he was pronounced dead on arrival by the attending physician. The body of the deceased has been taken to the Skeldon Public Hospital mortuary, where a post-mortem examination will be conducted. The Guyana Police Force extends its condolences to the family and friends of Mr. Otter during this difficult time and urges motorists to exercise caution while driving to ensure the safety of all road users. Judge overturns suspension of New Amsterdam Councillor, finds mayor exceeded authority. On November 15, 2024, Justice Nigel Niles of the New Amsterdam High Court ruled the suspension of Carol Trimbaggett, a PPP/C representative on the New Amsterdam Town Council, as unconstitutional. The court invalidated the suspension imposed by Mayor Wainwright McIntosh and the council, citing that it exceeded the mayor's legal authority. The judge found the action ultra vires, since the town council's regulations allowed disciplinary measures only for conduct during official council meetings. The allegations against Trimbaggett involved actions outside such settings, rendering the suspension legally baseless. As part of the ruling, the court ordered the mayor and council to pay Trimbaggett $50,000 in legal costs within 3 months. Trimbaggett's suspension earlier this year had generated controversy and accusations of abuse of power. Known for her outspoken criticism of Mayor McIntosh, she described her suspension as a democratic attack and accused the mayor of bullying and overstepping his authority. She also alleged financial misconduct and cronyism within the council, highlighting instances of land allocations allegedly favoring council members' families and associates. The ruling is expected to bring further scrutiny to the internal operations of the New Amsterdam Town Council and raise broader questions about accountability and governance within local government. Trimbaggett's reinstatement may also deepen the divisions within the council, potentially affecting its functionality and public trust. Guyana police force rakes in $400 million from traffic fines, nearly 60,000 tickets issued. The Guyana Police Force, GPF, has announced the collection of an unprecedented $400 million in traffic fines this year, the result of issuing nearly 60,000 tickets as part of its intensified campaign to enhance road safety and curb traffic violations. The campaign, spearheaded by Traffic Chief Senior Superintendent Mahendra Singh, specifically targeted high-risk infractions such as speeding, reckless driving, and impaired driving. This enforcement drive comes amidst a rise in road-related fatalities and seeks to promote safer driving behaviors nationwide. Speeding remains our top issue, stated Traffic Chief Singh, attributing over 47,000 tickets and approximately $280 million in fines to speeding violations alone. Other infractions, including drunk driving and unsafe vehicle maintenance, also contributed significantly to the total revenue. Strathspey man sentenced to life for mother-in-law's brutal murder. Lyndon Jr. Isaacs, 32, was sentenced to life imprisonment on November 15, 2024, for the 2020 murder of his mother-in-law, Velma Pickering. The brutal killing involved Isaacs stabbing the 56-year-old 14 times with an ice pick at her Vryhades Lust, East Coast Demerara home. Justice Sandal Kissoon ruled that Isaacs will serve at least 25 years before becoming eligible for parole, describing the crime as heinous and committed with immeasurable cruelty. The court also mandated Isaacs to participate in rehabilitation programs for offenders of intimate partner violence while incarcerated. The incident occurred on May 11, 2020, when Isaacs attacked Pickering in the presence of her 3-year-old grandson. Despite her critical injuries, Pickering fled her home in search of help but collapsed on a nearby bridge. She was pronounced dead at the Georgetown Public Hospital. Isaacs attempted to escape but was captured by alert citizens and handed over to the police. The murder followed years of abuse Isaacs inflicted on Pickering's daughter, who ended their relationship and sought refuge at her mother's home. During sentencing, Justice Kissoon emphasized the epidemic of domestic violence in society, calling for strong penalties to deter such crimes. He declined the typical sentence reduction for Isaac's guilty plea, describing it as tactical due to overwhelming evidence against him. Prosecutor Delon Fraser highlighted Isaac's lack of remorse and the devastating impact on Pickering's family, especially her grandson, who is undergoing therapy for trauma. In a heartfelt statement, Pickering's son, Leon Roberts, described his mother as their family's foundation and decried the violent nature of her death. Justice Kissoon criticized the system's failure to protect victims of domestic abuse, citing Isaac's history of violence, including striking his partner with a hammer during her pregnancy. He described the prevalence of domestic violence and related murders as a societal crisis, stressing the importance of comprehensive measures to address the issue. Isaacs apologized in court to Pickering's family, pleading for forgiveness and leniency, but Justice Kissoon underscored the severity of his actions, affirming the life sentence. High Court awards MP David Patterson $1.2 million in wrongful travel ban case. The High Court has ruled in favor of opposition Member of Parliament David Patterson, awarding him $1.2 million in damages and $250,000 in legal costs in a case against the state over a wrongful travel ban imposed in September 2023. Acting Chief Justice Roxanne George delivered the decision today, confirming that the authorities unlawfully prevented Patterson from leaving the country as he was en route to the United States for an official engagement. Patterson, represented by attorney Nigel Hughes, was barred from traveling by immigration officers, who claimed his name was flagged in their system. This action occurred while he was scheduled to meet with members of the U.S. Congressional Committee and Senate as part of an opposition delegation. Hughes described the ruling as a victory for Patterson's fundamental rights, emphasizing the breach of his constitutional right to freedom of movement. At the time of the incident, Patterson's legal team sent a letter to Attorney General Anil Nandlal, citing the violation of his rights and alleging that the travel restriction was a deliberate attempt to hinder his participation in the Washington, D.C. conference. Though Patterson was allowed to travel a few days later, he pursued the lawsuit, initially seeking $25 million in damages. This ruling reaffirms the protections of individual rights under Guyana's constitution and holds state authorities accountable for unjust actions. Vice President defends rental of power ships as cost-effective solution amid energy demand. Vice President Barrett Jagdeo has defended the government's decision to rent a second power ship to supplement Guyana's national grid, emphasizing that the costs associated with the ships are competitive with the cost of power generation by the Guyana Power and Light, GPL. Speaking at a press briefing on Thursday, the Vice President addressed criticisms from opposition figures, including Chairman of the Alliance for Change, AFC, David Patterson, who described the rental of the power ships as a waste of taxpayers' money. Patterson argued that the funds could have been directed toward a more permanent solution for GPL's power generation needs. However, Vice President Jagdeo explained that the cost to generate 1 kilowatt-hour of electricity using GPL's existing equipment stands at approximately 18 US cents. By comparison, the cost of power from the first power ship, factoring in both rental fees and fuel costs, totals 20.6 US cents per kilowatt-hour. The costs from the power ships include fuel, operation, maintenance, and service. This is a comprehensive solution, and the opposition is isolating the issue without considering these factors, the Vice President stated. Jagdeo highlighted that the power ships are a temporary measure to meet the growing energy demand while the government's transformative gas-to-energy project is being completed. He further noted that the government continues to subsidize electricity costs to shield consumers from increases, maintaining rates at the same levels as 2020 despite rising global fuel prices. We sell power at 23 cents per kilowatt-hour, but with generation and transmission costs nearing 30 cents per kilowatt-hour, the government is subsidizing electricity at a cost of $70 million annually. This keeps power bills stable for Guyanese households and businesses, the Vice President explained. Opposition criticisms over power outages and costs. Despite these assurances, opposition leader Aubrey Norton expressed dissatisfaction with the government's handling of the electricity sector, citing persistent power outages even with the first power ship in operation. Norton criticized the administration's reliance on supplementary budgets to fund power generation and called for more permanent solutions, including the purchase of new generating sets. The government's short-term fixes, including the purchase of 17 third-hand generators from Honduras and the leasing of power ships, have resulted in significant costs without resolving the power crisis. Guyanese deserve better value for their money, Norton stated. He also claimed that the opposition-led administration had initiated efforts to enhance GPL's capacity, which he alleged were abandoned by the current government upon assuming office. Norton further accused the government of incompetence and tardiness in its energy policies, stating, in other countries, such failures would lead to resignations and significant political consequences. Future energy goals. The government remains firm that the rental of power ships is a necessary interim solution to address immediate energy demands. Vice President Jagdeo reiterated the administration's commitment to achieving energy stability and reducing costs through long-term projects, including the Gas-to-Energy initiative. As we work towards a more sustainable and reliable energy future, these measures ensure that Guyanese households and businesses have the electricity they need today, he concluded.